Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be hanging windows. As you guys know, we're in the middle of a home renovation. We're working on the kitchen, and last time we wrapped this whole section of the house. Now we're ready to cut the wrap and install the windows. Usually we like to do videos that are kind of entertaining, inspiring, and we hope that's what you guys get from it. We try not to do too many how-to videos because we really think that people, everybody's got their own situation. And we just like to share what we're doing. But the last time we installed windows on this house, we couldn't believe the number of comments that we got saying that we did it wrong. Some people very passionately telling us how wrong we were because we didn't cut an X-cut in the house wrap. So today, hopefully we're going to demonstrate why we don't cut the X-cut and why there's a better way now to properly cut the house wrap for windows. So here's our newly wrapped window opening. You guys can probably see the window through it. And first I'm going to demonstrate the X-cut to show what everybody wants us to do. So that's the basis of the X-cut. This is what a lot of people want us to do, and it's really the old way of doing things. And basically you cut the X in the wrap. So a lot of people fold it in like this. They'll staple it either inside here or on the inside wall a lot of the times. And they feel like this gives a better protection for the wood on the sides of the window. They do the same thing with the bottom, the sides, and some people mistakenly wrap the top. So you should never wrap your header inward, and this is what the X-cut kind of encourages people to do. And the reason is because if you got to understand that the house wrap is a drainage plane. This is the surface that's supposed to guide the water away from your house if it gets behind your siding. And the last thing you want to do is send your water into your house. And if you put your window in there with the flange on top, that's exactly where you're sending the water if it gets past that window. So you never want to do that. And alternatively, if water got behind your wrap, if you had a two-story house, a taller wall, if the water got behind that wrap, you're going to be holding water on your header and you're going to rot your header out. So I don't do that. That's just bad. The other thing is that this wood rarely needs to be protected by anything because this is inside the house, it's sealed by the window, and they rarely rot out. This actually causes more problems than it fixes, and I'll demonstrate that in a little while. And the bottom, while it isn't technically terrible, you'll want to put flashing tape underneath your window. So you put the flashing tape here, and when you leave this folded in, you're just putting flashing tape on top of your house wrap, and it's not really doing a whole lot of anything. It's just more expense to make a thicker house wrap. You know what I mean? The whole tape, the tape would be hooked to that, and you can just...
Yeah, it's not really doing much.
Yeah.
At all.
Let's demonstrate the next type of cut. Look at stick bug.
Oh yeah. There's a stick bug right here. Walking stick.
And he's about to get an education on window wrapping. So people saw the flaw with the X-cut because wrapping it in on the header is a bad idea, wrapping it in on the sill is a bad idea, and it just causes problems. So it was modified. So instead of doing the X-cut, a lot of people, they went to the I-cut. The I-cut is what most people do nowadays, and you basically cut the top flush you cut the bottom flush, and then right down the middle, making the I. There it is, I cut. So the benefit of the I cut is that now when they wrap these in, they still wrap them. You got more coverage on the wall. That's seen as a good thing, but it's not. I'll show you why in a minute. But you notice that now the header is free. You're not sending your drainage plane into your house, and that's a good thing. Instead, they'll cut angles like this if I can do it. Whoop. And the house wrap, you'll install your window, you'll flash the tape on there, and then you'll put this over the top of the flange, and now any water coming down is going to be coming out over your window and out instead of into your house. Also, the I-cut fixes the problem with the sill. Now when you put your flashing tape on, it sticks to the sill and you have a better water barrier and a better connection instead of having it just stuck on house wrap.
So that's an upgrade.
This is the upgrade from the X-cut. Now the problem with both the X-cut and the I-cut is that wrapping this in doesn't really serve as good a purpose as they think. See, what people were thinking is it protects the wood. It was probably just quick and easy also to just staple it and call it a day. But you're bringing your drainage plane into the house again. It's just never a good idea. So it also creates an air pocket behind the house wrap and this framing. You can try to pull it as tight as you can, but there's always going to be air space in there. And what happens is if air gets behind your house wrap through openings and cracks, it can travel around into your house. And you don't want that cold air gaps, air leakage coming into your house. And the air gap is especially bad when you're trying to spray foam your windows, because a lot of people, you install your window and then you put spray foam in that crack between your window and the frame. And what happens is the spray foam, you're spray foaming on this house wrap, which actually can hinder your spray foaming if there's any wrinkles in it. But you're spray foaming against house wrap and your window. And spray foam expands, but as it cures, it contracts a little bit. And so it's going to pull away. And you're going to have a gap. You see, the spray foam's not going to be adhered to the wood, it's to the plastic. And you're going to have a gap between it, defeating the spray foam and allowing cold air to pass through. Also, again, you don't have to worry about this wood rotting if you sealed your window properly, because your window is caulked and it's taped with flashing tape. And if water is getting past the tape and the caulk, well, then it's already too late and you got to fix it regardless. So wrapping it in the window like this really serves no purpose. I built this makeshift window to demonstrate what I'm talking about. So we have this window in the rough opening and somebody wrapped the house wrap into the house and stapled it. This is what you typically see on the X and the I cut, and that's how a lot of people think you should do it. We're going to spray foam this gap, and you can already see there's air behind there. And yeah, you can try to pull it really tight when you staple it, but no matter what, there's
stuck to it.
Yeah, you're always going to have a gap between your foam and the wood. So let me show you. So that's your spray foam window. We're going to let that cure, and we'll come back to it and check it out. Our window sat overnight, the spray foam is cured, and I just wanted to demonstrate what happened. You can see this is what I was talking about. It looks fine, the spray foam filled the void, but if you look, that house wrap is actually lifted away from the wood, and that's what I was talking about. People think that spray foam just expands, but it actually expands, and if it doesn't have something to grab onto that's solid, it contracts again. This contraction creates an air bladder behind the plastic. So I can see that there's actually airspace along the spray foam and the plastic is pulled away. So now I'm going to undo this part and try to show you guys behind it. Now, air sealing is one of the most important steps of insulating a home. It's more important than the vapor barrier. It's just as important in part, and it's an important part of your insulating value, because if air can get through, it negates your insulation and negates the vapor barrier. You want to make sure your house is properly air sealed. Now this is totally untouched. This is the way the foam cured, and check it out behind here. Look at the size of the void between the wood and the window. Your house is not properly air sealed. So behind the house wrap, we can see that there's a huge gap because that spray foam didn't get to cling to the wood. And it's starting to rain, so we'll wrap this up, but I just wanted to demonstrate, even where the spray foam was really thick, look it, I can slide my blade right behind it because it's not adhered. The plastic keeps that gap there. And there is gaps up to 1/4 inch, or probably 3/16 right through here, 1/8 inch. That is why you don't wrap your house wrap into your house. You're defeating your air seal. Air that's behind your wrap, outside your house, can get in. Air can get in, water can get in. It's just a bad idea. So that is the reason we don't wrap it in or do the X cut. So the I cut was actually really popular for a long time, and that's what a lot of the big builders say to do. And you'll see that all over YouTube. They'll show this style of cut. So now there's flaws with the X cut, big flaws, and there's some flaws with the I cut because you're creating that air gap for air and water to get into your house. You got to think of this as the drainage plane. It should always stay outside of your house. You never want to bring water into your house. So what you'll see now, there's a new style of building coming into play. There's a new technique for cutting windows, and that's what we're using. And the reason you haven't seen it yet is because it's new. A lot of people just haven't adopted it yet. There's a lot of people still on the old X method. But what we do is cut it flush. Oh. This is the flush cut method. This is the best method by far, in our opinion. You get to benefit from the open header where you get to actually wrap the house wrap over the window, shedding water away from the house instead of into the house. So you're going to still make these same angled cuts. That's going to be exactly the same. You benefit from the open sill where you get to have a positive contact between your flashing tape and the wood so that you seal out all the water. But now you don't have any air pockets coming into your house, which means when you put your window in and you spray foam it, you have your caulk and the flashing tape sealing this so water isn't getting in. But now your spray foam can make a positive contact between the wood framing itself and the window. There's nothing in between, there's no plastic in the way. So you're going to have a total air seal and insulation seal between your window and wood. And that's exactly what you want. So that's why we choose the flush cut method. And this technique is actually gaining traction, and you'll actually see manufacturers recommending it. Our windows are made by Jeld-Wen, and in their instructions they recommend cutting out the window wrap flush, just like we're doing here. Same cuts and everything. So it's not something we're making up. People are taking note that this is a better way to do it, and you're going to see it more and more over time. I hope that explains why we're flush cutting the windows. It's not because we're inexperienced and that we don't know what we're doing, but it's because we're trying to do things a better way. It's a newer way. It's not well known yet, but it's growing in popularity because it makes sense.
We want our work to last. We want to make sure we're doing it right. We're putting a lot of effort in.
Yeah. So rest assured that this will protect the window, it'll protect the house, water won't get in, and it'll last a long, long time.
And we have some links that you can look at.
Yeah, I'm going to link a couple of articles below in our description, and they're kind of interesting, explaining different methods of doing this flush cut and why it's better. Really neat stuff. It's worth looking at if you want to learn and get up to date on new ideas. You know, the thing about our channel is we don't just do the same old. We like to do things different. We like to really try new things, experiment, learn, grow. That's what we're about, and that's how we've gotten here to know how to do this stuff, is by being willing to learn and grow and try new things. All right, guys, we're ready to start hanging our windows. I stapled our top flap out of the way. Remember, I cut those angle cuts coming up 45 degrees, about 6 inches long or so. And that's out of the way temporarily. The first thing I'm going to do is wrap my sill. We put the flashing tape on the sill before the window. Now there's different ways to wrap the sill, so I'm not saying this is the proper way to do it. But the whole point is to make a nice waterproof, airproof seal for the window to sit on. And I'm just doing it like this. And you can see now that I'm getting a really solid seal against the wood as opposed to putting it on house wrap if you had done the X cut. Now we have a nice sealed edge. And this will be just to help seal that edge a little better. Hold on. That's fine. That's a pretty good seal. Now that's enough, but I'm going to put one more piece on just to cover the sill completely. That'll be nice. Okay, now that our sill is wrapped and protected from the elements, we're going to go ahead and caulk the window. We're only going to be applying this on the sides and top. You never want to caulk the bottom of your window, because if water ever gets into your window, you need a place for it to get back out, and that's the bottom. And you don't want to just use any old silicone for this. Actually get a window and door sealant. And you don't have to apply it to the flange like this. A lot of people put it on the building itself around the window, and that's fine. Either way works as long as you get a good seal. Okay, now I'm going to be shimming the bottom of the window because you want to keep your window centered all the way around your window frame, and that usually means keeping a 1/4 inch gap around your window. So a lot of people just throw their windows right on the sill, but that doesn't give you space to level the window or to seal it for air, to put proper spray foam sealant underneath it. You got it on there?
Yep. Go back a little bit more. That's quite good.
Now we can put the side flashing on over the flange. Put this on, and you can see now that this is totally sealed to the weather. And if water got past the tape, it would have to get past that caulk. And again, wrapping it in doesn't really help with that. And we're layering it. So this bottom one went on first, so if water was in the window, it would come out. And now this goes over the top to shed water away from it. Okay. And now we put the top piece over the top flange on the OSB. The flap is out of the way, extending over the sides. We can put this back down over that. Again, picture a drainage plane draining over the tape onto the window and out, always out, away from the house, never into the house. That's the big point about the X method or the I method. You're wrapping house wrap into your house instead of bringing it out, and that's where it should always stay. And we're just going to use our house wrap sealing tape, seam tape, to help seal those cuts back up. Just like that. And that's all there is to it. That window is done. And it will not leak. So hopefully we showed you that there's this myth going around where a lot of people tell us your window will leak because you didn't wrap in the house wrap. That's just the way building practices are going. You're going to see it more and more where people are no longer wrapping it in, and it will not cause your window to leak because house wrap being inside your house has nothing to do with weatherproofing the outside. So now that we're done with that window and we demonstrated how we do each step, we're going to go ahead and put this one in, and you guys can watch us from start to finish. Well, there's 3 windows done. The house is looking awesome. That means we only have 2 more windows to go. The bathroom and Belle's room. So this should be pretty easy.
And that will probably be next year.
So I hope we accurately demonstrated why we flush cut our windows today. And we don't wrap it in. The X cut, it's wrong. The I cut has flaws. The flush cut is really the best way to wrap them in our opinion. So we're not doing it because of lack of knowledge or mistake. We're doing it intentionally because it's a system that works. And you can see air sealing is important to us because we don't want drafts, we don't want cold air seeping in. And just remember, house wrap is a drainage plane, and drainage planes should always be bringing water to the outside. So if you guys want extra security around your flush cut window, you can always put the flashing tape on over that cut edge before you put your windows in on the sides and bottom when you do your sill, and then put your window in and then flash the sides like normal. That's another variation of doing that just for that extra barrier of protection. So pretty soon we'll be installing the door. We do have the door too, so we'll get that put in, and then the house will be a lot better sealed up. We got a lot of projects coming, so stay tuned for that. But that's all we have for now, so until next time, take care.
Bye.